Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be doing a epoxy DIY installation in our garage floor, and we'll be using a product called RokRez from a company called Simiron. This product is 100% solid and gives us a longer working time as well. So which means by the time you lay it down you have less odor and then you have less of the material evaporating after drying. So whatever you lay on the floor stays on the floor. Prior to the epoxy application installation day, you need to buy a couple of materials. You can either buy them as a package like I have bought here, or you can buy them individually depending on how cheap you're able to get them. And also prior to the application day, you want to do a floor test of your concrete. Kind of make sure that it's actually suitable for epoxy application. So you can do this by putting a drop of water on your floor concrete. If it absorbs, it means that your floor is ready to go. But if it doesn't, then it means you actually have to rent a floor grinder and grind off the top of the concrete, because it could potentially have a sealer on top of it. Once you have done that, now we need to move on to the next step. Once we've gone ahead and verified that our garage floor concrete is actually not sealed and it's good to go, we want to go to the next stage, which is basically clean the garage floor. So in this case, you need to use oil and grime cleaner. In this case, I purchased the Corotech Benjamin Moore's cleaner. So you want to use that and scrub the garage floor properly and make sure it is free of oil, grime, dirt, and whatever buildup that the garage must have had over the years. Then you want to move on to the next step, which is the acid etching phase. So this basically opens up the pore of the concrete so that it can absorb the epoxy. So in this case, you can pick up any acid etch from any of your local store. I picked up one Rust-Oleum brand from Home Depot, and you do it multiple times to make sure that you don't miss out any spots. In this case, we did it 3 times. Make sure that we caught every single spot of the garage floor. Scrub it pretty hard with the hard bristle brush. And once we did that, then we move on to the next. Once you're done with the acid etching, before we actually proceed to epoxy application, you want to make sure you check the floor concrete to make sure it is acid etch residue free. So you do this by using your finger to swipe on top of the floor concrete. If you have white residue on your hands, then it means that it's not clean enough. There's still residue on it. But if there is none, then you're good to go to the next step, which is the epoxy application. Now, before we can apply the epoxy application, we have to make sure there are some criteria that are met. First, the day. You have to make sure that the temperature of that day is between 50 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and the floor concrete is above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. You also want to make sure that the relative humidity is under 80%. You can check all of this information using your local weather forecast. Once you have that all checked, now you want to make sure that you have all the tools and materials you need for the job, because you don't want to start the job and then realize that you don't have something, or it says your battery is dead. First things first, you want to check and make sure that you have your squeegee, you have your roller, you have your brush. You want to make sure that your drill, the battery is fully charged, and then you have your stirrer. You also want to make sure you have a duct tape or masking tape, because you want to make sure that you tape along the edge of your garage door, because we don't want the epoxy going beyond the garage door. However, if you want it to go beyond the garage door, there are steps you can take to do that. Because the thing is, epoxy doesn't do so well with UV light. It starts to yellow after a while. So the only way to prevent that is to put a polyaspartic coating on top of it. So if you want it to extend beyond your garage door, the area that extends outside your garage door, you're gonna have to apply a layer of polyaspartic coating on it, and then you should be good. However, if you don't want to do that, then just keep it on the other side of the door. In our case, we decided to go a little bit over because we plan to put the polyaspartic coating on it. Once we're done with that, you want to make sure that you have everything all checked out. Ideally, I recommend you have 2 people for the job, because the working time for this product is between 45 minutes to an hour, depending on the temperature of the day. But for me, I usually recommend to try and get it done in under 30 minutes. So that way you have plenty of time for, to make any fixes and touch-ups. Once you have at least 2 people for this, then we can proceed with the application process. Another thing that I need to mention is the fact that the product mentions that the coverage is about 200 to 250 square foot per bag. However, I found out that in some cases it doesn't quite extend. This could be due to various factors such as how I applied it, or the roller brush, or various factors. In those kind of cases, I wish I had an extra bucket. So my recommendation to you is to make sure you have an additional bucket of this kit, just in case you find out that it's not enough. Because if you start, it's going to be hard for you to go and buy another bucket while in the middle of applying this thing. So better safe than sorry. Another thing that I noticed is the decorative chip that comes with this package. I found in my application, I found out that it wasn't quite enough and to my satisfaction or to my liking. So I wish I had bought additional decorative chip. I wanted a lot of it on the floor. So if you're that kind of person, you want a whole lot more decorative chip, my recommendation is to also get additional decorative chip. And if you find out that the application is good enough, you can always return it back to the store and get your money back. But better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Once we have that all done, now we can proceed with application. So this product comes in two parts. Part A, which is the activator, and the part B, which is the base. You pour the two of them together into the provided bucket and then mix it with your drill for about 3 minutes. Once you've done that for 3 minutes, now we can carry that bucket and start from the innermost portion of your garage and walk your way outwards towards the garage door. So you pour this the epoxy in a 4x4 square foot section. You spread it out with a squeegee and then roll it out. Once you have done the first 4x4 section, you can proceed to the next section. The second person can begin immediately using the brush to paint the edges of the garage. That way you're able to get this all done at the same time. This person should definitely wear their spike shoes because you don't want to be making a mess with your feet or your shoes. Once you get this started, you can be able to keep going on and on and on in that 4x4 section. Then if you decide to go with the decorative chip that comes with this package, you can start to apply the chip from this stage, right? After you finish your first 4x4, you can put the chip, or you can wait till the end when you're done and then come back and throw the chips on. I did go with that option, but however, you have to make sure you're able to get this done in under 30 minutes, so you still have enough. The liquid is still wet enough to be able to absorb those chips and dry with it. However, if you think it's going to take you a little bit longer, I'll suggest you just keep pouring it as you walk your way out of your garage. After all this is all done, you can close your garage door and then wait for 24 hours, and then the epoxy should be walkable after 24 hours. But I decided to go one step further. I decided to put another coat on it. Although this product recommends says one coat is enough and just fine, I wanted to have another coat of this epoxy to give me an extra layer of protection. I mean, the first layer is okay, but I just want to give myself another clear coat just so I can have that nice glossy shine, additional glossy shine. So after 24 hours, you can add more coats to it if you feel like it. Or if you wanted to add a different color as well, or other things to it, you can do this as well after the first 24 hours. But if you're not doing two coats and you're going with just the one coat, after the 24 hours, you can start to work on it.